If you hood educated, I'm glad you made it. Allow me to unfold my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from a hood brother's point of view to all of you, here, there, and everywhere. Now check me out.
So, to my city, man, it ain't worth it, boy. Like, it ain't worth it. Like, me being a rapper from my city and Fulio being a rapper from our city, it ain't worth it. Like, my mouth getting dry, sorry. Like, the dissing, the beefing, the shooting, like, for what? Like, for what? Like, when you sitting in your cell alone, cold, it's lonely as hell in that bed. Everybody leave you. Like, nobody here for you. Like, the ones that's your ride or die, your girlfriends, whoever you love, the only person there for you is your mother. And maybe like one friend, maybe, but it ain't worth it though, bro. It ain't worth it. I was 21 years old facing the death penalty. I never ever, my only interactions with law enforcement was traffic tickets. Wake up next morning, I'm facing the death penalty. That's how quick life can change. It ain't worth it, bro. That's all though. And sorry if I was nervous. Sorry.
No, it's okay, Mr. Chance. And thank you for saying that.
Yes, ma'am.
The most important part of everything that he said is, it's not worth it, bro. It is not worth it. And what he is talking about is this right here. Allow me to articulate, what he's basically saying. The time that he is about to spend in the penitentiary is not worth it. The fact that there is a great chance that he is going to die in prison is not worth it. You see, young brothers, you gotta understand something, right? When you going inside of a prison faced with a life sentence, life as you knew it once before is done. It's over with. No more love lotion. You can forget about that unless you're gonna play with some boys in there. You see what I'm saying? The mental anguish, the mental and emotional beat down year after year after year after year is not worth it. See, when you get hit with a life sentence, while you're sitting in prison dying slowly, your family members are going to die. And you will be in prison. Can't support them. And listen, all that, I'm going to the funeral. No, you're not. You're not going to say your last goodbyes and things like that. Your mother, she's going to die while you're sitting in prison. Your father, him too. Your children will be raised by somebody else. The girl that you love so much will be making love to a whole nother man. You see? It's not worth it. Listen to me when I tell y'all this. The most precious thing that you have right now is time. That's it. Time is the most precious thing that you have. Time. And the reason why time is so precious is because that's the only thing that you can't get back. Once a day is gone, you can't rewind it. That day is gone. Once a week, month, a year, a decade is gone, you can't get that back. Cars, clothes, hoes, jewelry, you can get all that. You can get all that back. You can lose a woman and then go get you another one. You see, you can lose some money and then go make some more. You can tear your car up and then go buy another one. Try to do that with some time. You can't do it. Once it's gone, it's gone. It is not worth it. Now look, don't get me wrong. At the time, when he was out there in them streets, ripping and running, plotting to kill Julio Fulio, he believed in his mind that it was worth it. The same way you believe it is. They killed my homie. He disrespected my homie on the song. He dissing. He threw down my gang. He threw down the nation. So you think in your mind that, yeah, it's worth it. At that time, you do. But then you have to go sit in a county jail. Then you have to go sit in a prison. Then it start hitting you. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it at all. You heard what he said. Learn from his mistake. Do not think all the young brothers that pay attention to my channel, some of the classic brothers that pay attention to my channel, please do not think that you cannot trade places with Gutter Zay. That can easily be you. But you have the power, being that you are not faced with a first-degree murder charge. Being that you have not been convicted of a first-degree murder charge. You have the power to change. Yeah, you do. You got the power to change your ways right now so that you would never end up in Gutter Zay predicament. But you need to sit down and examine yourself and ask yourself for real, is it worth it?
Yeah, it look different from up here. Okay. To God be the glory all the time, and He'll forever have the last say so in our situation. As I said in my interrogation interview, I'll be judged for it and I'll forever retain my innocence. And I just want to say to the Gen Z generation, change your life and do something productive with your life. Because in this predicament, it ain't worth it. And like it was said before, this is not my first rodeo down this road, so it's looking like forever, but I'll forever keep a positive mind state and a positive mindset. But to God be the glory forever. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy.
Uh-huh.
All right. Mr. Rashad Murphy, anything you want to say or at all? You don't have to. Just giving you the final chance.
I love everybody.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very good. All right.
Did you hear the shake in his voice? Did you hear his voice cracking and shaking? Right? That's fear. That boy right there is scared to death, shaking all in his body. You see, can't even talk, don't even really know what to say, because he understands the result of what's finna happen. He understands what's finna go down. He understands what he did is causing all this pain and future suffering. He understands that. That's why all of a sudden, God be the glory, right? You see, mama ain't the glory, daddy ain't the glory, grandmama ain't the glory. You see, I'm talking about the people that actually probably took care of him ain't the glory. God be the glory. You see what I'm saying? Look, that boy probably ain't never prayed a day in his life until he got convicted of that murder. Because he understands the circumstances now. They about to kill me. They about to send me to the penitentiary for the rest of my life. But now all of a sudden, he know who God is. You see, God be the glory. Now look, I understand that people can change. I understand that sometimes you got to sit down and figure things out and stuff like that. But we got to realize something. I mean, if God is all knowing, you're not finna play God for a fool. You're not finna step up in the courtroom now after you've been convicted of murder and you still proclaiming you innocent. You still proclaiming, yeah, I'm innocent, you know. You got, no, bro, you, look. A jury just convicted you of first-degree murder. They'd had evidence proving that you participated in the killing of Julio Fulio. And you still got the nerve to get up in front of a judge and say, you know, I'm still innocent. No, you're not. You was found guilty. And for you to get up there and say, you know, God be the glory. If a jury seen that you was guilty, if the judge seen that you was guilty, if the prosecutor seen that you was guilty, what you think God seen? You see? Come on, now we look. But this is what happens though. Because now he understand his ass is grass. Excuse my language. And now he reaching for God. Hey, he needs some help. Mama can't help him up out of this. Foster parents can't help him up out of this. Money can't help him up out of this. You see? His father, grandparent, nobody can help him. He's helpless. So now he's reaching for God. God. He know God can help him. But God said, thou shalt not murder. Look, y'all, come on. I'm just saying what the Bible say. Thou shalt not murder. But you still got your nerve to say, I'm innocent, you know, and God be the glory. You ain't learned. You still think it's a game. You still believe in your mind, Davion, that you can wiggle your way up out of this some type of way. Man up. Come on, be a gangster about it. Hey, yeah, you know what? We ran down on him. We killed him because of this, that, and the other. He killed my cousin. You see, he disrespected my best friend after my best friend got killed by some of his friends. And you know, I lost my mind, you know, and you know, we playing this tit for tat. We killing each other. And hey, look, you know, this is what's going on. But y'all heard what Gutter Zay said, though. Ain't nobody gonna be around you. You're gonna be alone. Probably one friend, your girlfriend, all gone. Family members. Some people, they family members is not even gonna be there. Gone. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So now he got to deal with that. Davion got to deal with all of that. And now he reaching for God. Hey. As if God is a fool. God don't see what happened. God don't know that you was that boy laying up there with that assault rifle and took a life and shot a couple more other people. God ain't see that though. You see? Come on now. But you young brothers gotta understand something. If you keep playing in them streets, you are Davion Murphy. Yeah, you are Davion Murphy. Look, you don't want to be the other Murphy. You don't want to be him. He's so corrupted in his mind, he's so toe up, he can't even talk. He just, hey, I love everybody. Look, you should have been loving everybody when you was free. You can't be loving everybody now. Now that you in the penitentiary, now you finna do the rest of your life in prison. Now all of a sudden, you know, I just love everybody. No, you don't. You don't love everybody. Because if you loved everybody, you wouldn't have participated in the murder of Julio Fulio. If you loved everybody, your children would have came before the gang. If you loved everybody, your mama, your auntie, your grandmother would have came before the gang. But no, they didn't. You put the gang before all your loved ones. You put your homeboys over all your loved ones. And now where they at? No, you can't even call the homies. They don't want to touch you because y'all got caught. You see? But you can call mama and them. Mama will pick up the phone. You see? Some aunties, uncles, they'll pick up the phone. You see? They remember young Rashad. They remember young Davion. So they'll pick up the phone. They might not send you a dime, but they'll pick up the phone. You see? But what about your homeboys? The people that you was like this with. Okay? The people that you put over everything. What about them? Young men and women, listen, this is a hood education going on. Y'all need to be learning from this. Y'all need to be learning from this right now. I'm talking, we seeing this thing play out. Ain't now one of them killers, stomp down killers. This is the first murder that they got caught for. We don't know about the other murders and shootings that they didn't get caught for. They just got caught for Julio murder. Ain't none of these stomp down killers step up to the podium and say, hey, yeah, I killed him. And that's how it go in the hood. You understand what I'm saying? This 1200. Yeah, I killed him because that's how it go. They killed my homeboy, so we killed. Ain't none of them stand on it. All of them up there quivering voices and stuff like that. These are the killers? These is the guys that be chasing people down with assault rifles, tearing their cars up, destroying people's lives. These guys. And I know a lot of some of you young brothers right now, you saying to yourself, hey man, I never, man, they soft, they going out like some hoes. I never. Get in their situation and then talk. It's easy to talk without a murder charge. It's easy to talk without a murder conviction. You see, looking at the death penalty, it's easy to talk. But get in their position. Feel what they feeling. See what they seeing. Know what they know. Then talk to me.
Your Honor, I just thank you once again for allowing me the opportunity. I prepared just a little something. I worked kind of pretty thoughtfully on it, so I just ask that you allow your discretion for me to.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Thank you.
As long as it's respectful.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Here we are, being sentenced for the murder of Charles Jones on the day he was killed 2 years later. Now, some may say this is just a coincidence, but I believe that nothing has been, is, or ever will be left up to chance, and that everything in this world is predestined. And there are many biblical promises of that belief holding true. Jeremiah 1:5 says, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 29:11 says, I know the plans I have for you, plans for good and not for disaster. And Romans 8:28 says, we know all things work together for good to those who love God and are called to his purpose. And there are many more just like them. God has full sovereignty over our lives. He chooses our times of peace and prosperity, our times of joy and laughter. But he also chooses our traumas and our tribulations, not to punish and tear us apart, but to strengthen our character and our faith. Everyone wonders how and why I ended up in a situation like this, despite growing up with a loving family, nice home, multiple opportunities, and promising potential. Some act as if is it impossible or unheard of for someone like me to find themselves in a situation like this. But in reality, it is much more common than we think, and has been happening long before today. There is a parable Jesus shared with the world called the prodigal son, a son who had the nice home, loving family, servants. He had his every need catered to, yet he still chose to take his inheritance and venture off to a far country where he indulged in prodigal living. He soon ran out of money, and a famine had struck the land he was in. And while that would have been enough signs for most to turn back, his eyes still hadn't opened, and he still hadn't come to his senses. Hungry and desperate, he found a job on a farm feeding pigs. And during these times, pigs and what they were fed were deemed as the filthiest, most impure, lowest of the low, and worst of the worst. But he was so hungry and so blind that the food he fed the pigs looked appetizing. That's when he finally came to his senses. He realized that even the servants back home had enough food to spare, yet here he is dying of hunger amongst pigs. After this eye-opening experience, he decided to return home. He was ashamed and planned to go to his father to ask for forgiveness and to become one of his servants because he no longer felt worthy to be called his son. But when he returned, his father embraced him with love and compassion, dressed him in the finest clothes and jewels, and celebrated his son's return with a feast, exclaiming, "This son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and is now found." It is not uncommon for good young men who come from good families to get lost in this world. But discontentment often leads these good young men astray. When scholars and historians look back on our times, I believe they will label us as the age of discontentment. And those of us who come from privileged upbringings are actually disadvantaged to the fight against it. Because of the high expectations, many opportunities and options we grow up with, we don't know what struggle looks like, or how hard our parents had to work to provide these opportunities for us. We don't know what we have until it's gone. And it often happens after we go through our own eye-opening experience. Never in history has there been a time like now, where there is so much available and so easy to consume, but we still demand more. And it is clearly seen in my generation. Young men and women want to grow up faster to try to keep up with the influencers that are idolized. And this is in part due to us being so susceptible. A study done by the National Institute of Mental Health provided evidence showing that the brain doesn't reach full maturity until 26 to 27 years old for men, about 8 or 9 years older than my time during the offense. But society knows this, and that's why laws set age requirements on certain activities, amenities, and substances as a way to protect adolescent adults. Yet those same laws don't extend to an adolescent adult when they are charged with crimes and allows them to be prosecuted to the fullest extent, regardless of their age. Your Honor, it is heartbreaking that an 18-year-old can't rent a car or a hotel or buy a home, but can be sentenced to death or life in prison without the possibility of parole. They can't purchase alcohol or tobacco, but can be sentenced to death or life in prison without the possibility of parole. They can't work certain jobs or even go on a cruise without a chaperone, but can be sentenced to death without life or life without prison. And I'm a prime example of these circumstances. At 18 years old, with no prior convictions, I was charged, indicted, and had to face the death penalty. My point is, society views anyone under the age of 21 as not being mentally mature enough to participate or partake in these activities, amenities, and substances, because certain substances listed can negatively impact or stunt the growth of a developing brain, while other activities and amenities have restrictions due to the lack of impulse and behavioral control or lack of situational awareness at times with teens. It is very simple to understand that our brains have not developed enough, that we live in a society where someone under the age of 21 can be sentenced to death or life in prison without parole. We leave no room for growth, rehabilitation, or redemption. We don't account for the fact that they weren't a fully developed adult and their judgment and decision-making abilities weren't developed either. I believe it is cruel for someone under the age of 21 to be sentenced to life without parole or death before they're even old enough to be fully emancipated or to fully comprehend what consequences their actions carry. I say all this because I want to see change. Change for those whose fates were sealed long before they were born. Change for the prodigal sons and daughters who ventured off too far in the world and got lost. Change for those who haven't reached full maturity or unlocked their full potential as adults. Change for the ones who never had the option to go around, over, or underneath, but straight through their obstacles. In spite of my current circumstances, I still trust in all those biblical promises. And I believe that I am exactly where God planned for me to be, a plan He created long before I was born. It is also my belief that this chapter of my life will propel me to a much greater purpose than what we see here today, because my journey has just begun.
That boy sure know that Bible, don't he? Jeremiah this, Jeremiah that. I wonder why he wasn't reading that Bible when they planned to go hunt down, shoot, and kill Julio Fulio. Where was the Bible at then? You see, look, we gotta demonstrate this way right here, because it's they playing games. If they would have got found not guilty, you know what would have been happening? They would have been having Julio Fulio bottles all on their head. They'd have been talking crazy. Yeah, dissing the ops. It would have been regular programming. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. I know some of y'all, they done convinced y'all, and y'all thinking like, oh, come on, Hood, man. The man quoted from Jeremiah, man. Hood, you being too hard on him. No, I'm not being too hard on them. I understand them. I understand the play, right? I understand why they're saying what they're saying, and they're trying to convince that judge not to give them life. That's what's going on. So it's all a game right now. Like I said, if them boys would have got turned loose, hey, come on. They'd have been talking crazy, laughing, giggling. We smoking on 6 right now. You see? But no, they got convicted. So now they got to run to the Bible and all that old type of stuff. This boy right here, Sean, so cold. He looking up medical case studies on the juvenile brain, and he trying to convince the judge, hey, look, I was only 18. You shouldn't do me like that. You shouldn't give me life. I can't even buy no liquor. I can't even do this. I can't even do that. I was 18 when we killed him. You see? But not thinking for 1 minute, damn, we took a life. Julio Fulio, he can't be around his children no more. Julio Fulio, he can't be around his mother no more. Julio Fulio can't do none of the things that you talking about that you can't do, Sean Gath, right? He can't do none of that. You still alive, you still breathing. Julio Fulio can't breathe. You see? He's in a casket, decaying, while you still living. Yeah, no, so, I understand, God gonna forgive you and things like that, and God is a merciful God, and, he had the nerve to even say, this is God's plan. So God planned with y'all to go hunt down, kill Julio Fulio. That what you telling us? That was God's plan. Hey, you know what? I'm tired of Julio Fulio. I want all 4 of y'all and that girl right there to go down there, hunt that boy down, and kill him. Then I want y'all to get caught so y'all can do life in the penitentiary. That was God's planning, huh? Come on now, y'all. Come on now. God ain't planning like that. Now, wait, hold on now. Wait. Now, the Old Testament God, Old Testament, for those of you who know the Bible, Old Testament, now they ain't, look, God was wiping out whole nations. Now, we talking about Old Testament, right? But let's get back into the New Testament. Nah, we talking about the New Testament. Now, God ain't planning no murders. No, God say, you get slapped one side, you got to turn the other cheek, let them slap the other one. This New Testament we talking about. You see? So, no, I can't see God planning that murder with y'all. You see? You trying to throw God in jail with you. You snitching on him and all type of stuff. If he did plan the murder with y'all. But I refuse to believe that. So look, y'all. Let me say something before I depart. Listen. When you choose a life of violence, you gotta understand something. That way of living, that way of thinking is a dead end. It's gonna kill you. One way or another, whether you're going to be in the grave or you're going to be doing life in the penitentiary. But not only that though, because it not only just harms you and your victim, but it traumatizes the loved ones. It traumatizes your loved ones. It traumatizes the victim's loved ones. You see what I'm saying? That's what a life of violence has to offer you and your loved ones. So before you start living that life, you need to think and you need to reevaluate. Because listen, it's not strange that these boys right here is finna go spend the rest of their life in the penitentiary. Check it out.
That at least in the community of Jacksonville, that there are serious changes. I don't know why this scourge of gang violence has cropped up. I have no idea. I really am not familiar with Jacksonville. I don't know the whys, but I hope that the community does come together to end it, because Jacksonville just can't keep losing so many young men cut down in the prime of their lives. Can't do it. Continue doing it. So, okay. Anything further before I pronounce sentence?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing on behalf of Rashad Murphy.
No, Your Honor, on behalf of Javion Murphy.
All right, so Mr. Chance, I'm going to start first. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty. Count 1, sentence you to mandatory life without the possibility of parole. Count 2, I will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life to run concurrent with count 1. Mr. Gathright. On count 1, I will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life without the possibility of parole. You also have a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence. On count 2, the conspiracy, I will sentence you to 30 years in prison to run concurrent. Count 3, attempted murder in the second degree, I will sentence you to 30 years Florida State Prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence, again to run concurrent with all other counts. On count 4, attempted murder in the second degree, adjudicate you guilty and sentence you to 30 years prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence, again to run concurrent with all other counts. Count 5, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 30 years Florida State Prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence, again to run concurrent with all other counts. And on count 6, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 5 years Florida State Prison, again to run concurrent. And again, for you and Mr. Chance, give me credit for all time served. As to Davion Murphy, Mr. Davion Murphy, I will adjudicate you guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and you will have a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence as part of the life sentence. Count 2 on the conspiracy, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life to run concurrent. On the attempted murders, counts 3, 4, and 5, I will adjudicate you guilty of each of those, sentence you to life in prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence on each, again to run concurrent with all of the other counts, and again giving you credit for all time served. And finally, Mr. Rashad Murphy, I will adjudicate you guilty of murder in the first degree, sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and you will also receive a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence. On count 2, conspiracy, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life in prison to run concurrent with count 1. On counts 3, 4, and 5, I will adjudicate you guilty on each of those, sentence you to life in prison. Each of those carries a 20-year minimum mandatory, again to run concurrent with all other counts, and giving you credit for all time served. All right, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
I do wish you gentlemen the best. I really do, to make the most of your lives going forward. And you do have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of this court.
This is real life. Do not throw your life away for some social media validation. Do not throw your life away for validation from your so-called homeboys. Do not throw your life away for validation in gang banging. You see? Because after all that validation that you getting, understand it's temporary. It's not gonna last that long. You understand? But not only that though, look at the heavy price that everybody gotta pay. So if you don't want to administer that type of trauma and pain on your own family and to your victim's family, I would advise all you young brothers and some of you classic brothers and sisters to change your ways. This is Hood Educated, not Lame Related. Peace and love, and y'all take care of yourself out there. If I said anything that caused you to think, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And if you're feeling generous, please make a small donation to the channel. Now before I depart, allow me to give a shout out to some of the blessings that I received this week. Allow me to give a shout out to Ray Carl Brown for the $2 European money, y'all. This brother right here sending money all the way from Europe. You understand what I'm saying? Appreciate that, brother. Allow me to give a shout out to J. Luke for the $5 super thanks. Thank you. Allow me to give a shout out to TT Millie for the $5 super thanks. Thank you. Allow me to give a shout out to Earl Taylor for the $5 super thanks. Thank you. Allow me to give a shout out to Desert Detroiter for the $5 super thanks. Thank you. And last but not least, for the super thanks, allow me to give a shout out to Jay Smooth for the $2 super thanks. Thank you. Allow me to give a shout out to Jeffrey Blunt for the $5 cash app. Thank you. Allow me to give a shout out to Anastasia Carter for the $10 cash app. Thank you. Allow me to give a shout out to Bynum for the $2 cash app. Thank you. Allow me to give a shout out to Reginald Hendricks for the $10 cash app. Thank you. And allow me to give a shout out to my homegirl, Chi-Town Sweetie, for the $25 cash app. Thank you. And last but not least, Christopher Rainfro for the $25 cash app. I really appreciate all the love and support. And if you want to see another video from Hood Educated, check out this video about a woman who got shot at and killed over 80 damn times. And she was the wrong target. Peace and love.